mindset is often the 80-20. I think sales reps would have far more success if they focused on like develop their emotional intelligence.
When I was going into those like rough times, honestly, bro, like there was some times where I was like crying at night. I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do. The first thing that popped into my head was like, guys, as long as I don't give up, I'll always be successful.
You can take any food, supplement, steroid, I don't care what it is. The biggest thing that has the most anabolic effects on your life is the way that you view the world, and especially the way you view yourself. You want to be the same person you are like when you don't have money, that's the same person you are when you have money.
When things feel like they're at their worst and then like it feels shit, feels completely like nothing is going to click, that's like when you have the most energy to make a change. So that's when you just need to keep pushing forward, you need to keep grinding. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be here.
Chris, pleasure to see you, bro. How are you?
Doing well. Just as I mentioned before, just living the dream. Try my best to at least.
Yeah, where are you at now? Are you still in Bali?
Yeah. I'm in Bali. I'm in Uluwatu at the moment. So I came up, last Friday. I was meant to be here for like 3 days, but I just kept on extending it because I love it here.
Yeah. I was just talking like Kino earlier about like sort of like the best places in Asia for people to sort of be at. And yeah, he put Bali as like he said like that first sort of stage, and you still want to have a bit of fun and do your thing. Bali's the spot, but Uluwatu is much more quiet. Like when I was there, it was way more quiet than like Canggu, for example. Is
Mm.
that why you went out there, or?
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize it was like that here. But when I got here, like I realized like quite quickly it was a lot more chill. Like there's still like a going out scene, but just not as much as obviously like Canggu. Yeah, and
Yeah,
completely different demographics. But I prefer it much more out here just because it does remind me a lot of New Zealand. So
yeah.
why I ended up just kept on extending it. Yeah.
And are you out there with like all Lockie's boys and that?
So yeah, they were here over the weekend. We went to Surveyor and that. So
Yeah.
but they're all like they've just left today to go back to Canggu. But yeah, we've
Okay.
been mainly in Canggu, all of us, like for the last few months. But I think I'm coming out here long term, eh? That's the plan moving forward, I think.
Really? So like same thing as Kino. He where he got rid of his tax residency or something, so he can fully just go out of Bali and do his thing, or in Thailand, sorry, do his thing over there.
Mm.
Is that the main reason, or just you just like it more?
I don't know. I was just coming from a cold country in New Zealand.
Yeah, yeah,
That answers all the questions. So to be able to, just roam freely, just trying to see the last, like, because I've been here for like 9 months or so.
yeah.
The first 6, 7 months didn't leave Canggu once. I've been staying in my place, my little dungeon, just working from like start to finish. So yeah, to first time I've really actually just ventured out of Canggu because now that I have like some decent money coming in, so I thought I'd just go explore it.
Yeah, why not?
Out for in the first place, which is go see what the world's like.
Oh yeah, man. No, it's good stuff. Yeah, and you have like a very um interesting story. Like it reminds me a lot of myself because you were doing civil as well, right? You were in
Yeah,
software. So, for the people that don't know, because there's a lot of people that obviously do know you and know a bit about like your story and sort of, you've had a crazy progression, and we're talking about it off air before the camera sort of came in, but like it happened so slow, and then it just all happened sort of at once. But like, talk to us about like the early days. Like, how'd you get into the space? What sort of happened? And yeah,
yeah. So that was interesting. So I have my mate Jackson, who you're pretty fond of. So his brother was in the online space running like a digital marketing agency, and
yeah,
Jackson and we're always talking to each other like, nah, there's more out there. Like surely we can actually do something, go travel. And so I started to follow all of Shay's mates, all
yeah,
those boys. Ended up following someone who I was paying really close attention to. He was doing his own digital marketing agency. So I ended up messaging him, be like, bro, like, how do I do what you do? I'll work for you for free. If you can get me started. So he said, no, he straight off the bat told me nah. But he's like, I'm more than happy to, teach you what I know. We'll get you on a course so that you have skin in the game. So this was all over DM, Instagram. So he tabled me the $500 1 hour call to how to get started, or a 3 month, $1,000 a month program for, so all up like 3K. So
yeah,
he, full price dropped me over DM, and he was like, Jection handled me. So I ended up, all right, jumping on, paying $1,000 a month, and then that's how I got started originally.
yeah.
Yeah, but no, yeah, that's sort of like the beginning of the journey. I was drip feeding information to Jackson because he was broke at the time, giving thing, and he started his own agency. I fell off. I got stuck in the source of like Sydney, just moved to a new country.
Yeah.
And then he continued on with it. So he found success, and then he ended up getting picked up by another offer, which then he got into the high ticket sales space. Found heaps of success in them, was just in my ear every day, just telling me, bro, you need to get into it. You need to get into it. And I'm thankful as that he done that,
Yeah.
because I wasn't in a lot of pain at the time in terms of like the job I was working and being in the civil trades, as well as going out every weekend. So I think over time it just sort of built up, like my job, hating that, going out, drugs, alcohol. It just stacked up over time until a point where I was like, oh, like fuck, I might as well make some minimum life, try to get something going. So
Yeah.
yeah, in a nutshell, that's how we're here today.
It's interesting. Why did you decide to move from New Zealand over to Australia in the first place? Like, how did that all come about?
Originally just a better opportunity, and there was something that happened with like the last company I was with. So I was working in a small company with family, like dogging it out every day, 12-hour days, 6 days a week, literally like in the trenches, physically in dirt holes, digging them.
Yeah.
And so I managed to build my brother-in-law's company up to like $1 million business in civils. And
Mhm.
then they ran out of work, got low on it, so they made me redundant.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, so that was my first like I guess realization of like, oh, like you, at the end of the day, no matter who you are just a number if you're working those 9 to 5 jobs. So that was like the first epiphany in terms of like I need to go do something. So the idea was just to try open up the network, the opportunity by moving to Australia.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. That's a big thing. Like with civil, especially, it's from the trenches. Like you're literally doing digging holes in the mud. Like it's a brutal game. I remember when I first transitioned out of it into sales myself, and I think we have somewhat of an advantage. It's best to believe that, regardless,
Mm,
because when we come from like such a job where you're so disposable, you're doing the lowest of the low sort of work, and you're working hard. Then you come into sales, and it's like, oh, all I need to do is sit on a computer and ring people all day. That's easy. It's like light work. My first ever day in sales, I did 400 dials just because I didn't know any better. I'm like, all right, well, instead of spending 10 and a half hours a day digging holes, I'll just put that same energy into my sales, which I know you did as well, right?
yeah, yeah. It was I definitely it was actually because it was so easy. I wasn't used to it. So like I
Mm,
was used to like getting up early in the morning, and I still do. But I was
yeah,
used to getting up in the morning, being freezing first at the get go, like it was actually a bit of a weird transition in terms of going from like heavily physical work to just like sitting at a desk. I used to go from like my back would hurt from shoveling 2 tons of stones to my back was hurt because I'm sitting all day. So it was
yeah,
like a completely contrasting transition. Yeah, and it took a little while to get used to, but no,
yeah,
same mindset as you. Like I haven't worked a hard day in sales realistically, like
yeah.
within a degree. Like my body is an egg. Like I go do 2 gym sessions a day. I was struggling to do one when I was working in the trades because my body would just be completely cooked by the end of the day. So
Mm.
yeah, no, good change, 100%.
Yeah, it's funny because like one of the biggest things I hear from guys who still do civil or still do some sort of like manual labor in the form of making money, and then we explain to them what we do, and they say, "Oh, well, I could never sit inside all day, 12 hours a day on a computer." And I think it's a belief that just totally, for one, doesn't serve them in any way, shape, or form. But you
Mm.
do eventually get used to it, and it's sort of like a cop out in that aspect for not trying to get started, in my opinion, at least. Do you hear that as well from guys like, oh, I could never sit inside and do what you do?
Yeah, so I have some friends that have like tried or like entertained the idea of getting into this, and they've
Yeah,
said the exact same things. I'm just thinking it's like, well, if you can like spend the next 15, 20 years of your life shoveling in a hole, then like I'm sure you can sit in a desk. Like I
yeah,
don't know, but I don't know. It's just yeah, I think it's just a pure mindset thing. Like at the end of the day, like I'll be in my chair now 7, 8 hours, like and not straight the whole time. I'll get up, go down, get a drink. It's like you can't do that in the trades, and I think it's the freedom aspect of things is more important to me than to just like I'll happily sit at my desk if I can walk outside and be in the weather of Bali and happily do that. So
well,
yeah,
like that's the thing too, right? Like, who's telling you you have to sit inside all day anyways? Like,
Yeah.
obviously it's going to be more productive and you probably get more done. But you could theoretically not laptop by the lifestyle whole thing, but it can be done like to an extent. I take my calls outside, get some sunlight, and try and do as much of that as I can, rather than being a little hermit.
Yeah.
Um, that's the thing, bro. You don't have anyone breathing down your neck, besides maybe a sales manager. But you know they're normally pretty easy going compared to you have to schedule in piss breaks, you have to
Mm.
have this time, you have to do this, you have to do that, and yeah, like you just kind of said like you're just a number.
Yeah. No, for
Like,
sure. Wouldn't trade it for anything. Like in the trades, like when I was doing it in Sydney, I was catching like an hour train to a mate's place, getting a 45-minute car ride to site. So in the morning, I'd wake up at like 4:30 a.m. just to get to site on time. Obviously, do like an 8 to 10 hour day, do the exact same thing on the way back. So all up, like you're roughly 10, 12, 14 hours already gone for my day. Like my day yesterday, I woke up at 7 a.m., took my calls up until about 4 p.m.
yeah,
Made 4 sales yesterday, which was 1.2k. Hit the bonus, which was 20, which gives me like another $1,000. So I made 2.2k yesterday. At 5 p.m., I was already down at the beach going for a surf. Came back and did my data, had a feed, went to the gym, and that was my day. So yeah,
yeah,
no,
could be worse.
could be worse, brother. Could be worse.
Yeah.
Made what I in a day. I made what I would make usually in about 2.5 weeks working in the trades. And
Mm.
yeah, to do that just from sitting down, I see that as a blessing as opposed to like something you have to do, something I get to do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very key distinction there as well. And talk to us because it obviously and for people who may be listening, maybe thinking, oh, we're trying to make this sound very easy. It's not. And you had to go through a lot of bullshit to obviously get to this point now. Like, how long ago was it when we met? Like, that would have been a while ago.
Well, I first joined True Blues. It would have been, I think the date was April the 4th. So at least just over a year ago when I would have come across you, or the community
Yeah,
altogether.
yeah. And you've been through like a couple different offers during that time, and obviously grown so much and learnt so much during that period. I know you have very close proximity to Adam as well.
Mm.
So well, that's a, you know, it could be worse people to be around to actually, learn from. But talk to us about how, like, what have you sort of learned from April 4th to now, which is what, May 22nd, a year later? What have
Mm.
you done in that period that's been able to get you to this point where you're making, $2,000 a day in commissions?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think it's like much difference from like other people, but like the skill is like a small piece of it. Like the skill, anybody can learn the skill. Like
Hmm.
what I was doing when I first started was I was just, behind the laptop, turning up to every session, writing everything down. And like I don't know, like information learning stuff, that's the easy part. But the biggest thing was definitely the person you are outside of sales. Like
Hmm.
that was what carried the most weight for me. Like other questions I'm asking and align with the stuff that I'm like keeping myself to a standard of.
Yeah.
So the questions like especially moving to the country like this Bali, like to here in Bali, with no plan, essentially like not making any money in sales, but the fact that I took a bet on myself and that I knew that I was going to make it work, it translated into my sales process when I asked those questions to people, being wanting them to take a risk, wanting them to back themselves, like being able to
Mhm.
communicate to them came rolled straight off the tongue with so much conviction because I'd done it by myself. So like little stuff like that just is the person you are on a day to day in line with like the questions and the sales process that you're providing for the people
Yeah.
that you're speaking to. I genuinely think that's the biggest thing. And then like little things like just the state of being, like how you're keeping your health, how you're keeping your energy. Like that day yesterday, like that was like definitely one of my biggest days in sales. But prior to like the week prior to that, I had probably a bit of a big slump.
Okay.
It was a big slump. So essentially, like I started the week off sick, had Bali, and then I didn't see any sales drop, and that was straight after I had the biggest month I had. So everything sort of just went spiraling down, and that was
Mhm.
because the data being wasn't right. I started getting attached to the sales, and then I started to let every little thing come into play.
Yeah.
In the midst of all of that, I changed my process as a result because I
Ah,
thought it was, yeah, I thought it was the way I was doing things. I was like, oh, I was trying to compensate. But eventually I sat down with the sales manager, told him exactly what I just told you, and he was like, mate, you're getting too attached. You need to take a step back. You need to detach from everything. You need to go back to what you're doing at the start because that's what's making the sales. And then yeah, so essentially went for a massage, went for a gym session,
yeah.
woke up the next morning with like, all right, I'm just gonna go back to what I was doing, which is to see if we can help people in the start. And then yeah, in the last 3 days I've done that, had probably the biggest 3 days I've ever had in my sales. So very, very much in the terms of like the energy you're bringing towards the calls, how you're taking things, and yeah, just the state of being that you're turning up with. So
Yeah.
yeah, in a nutshell, the mindset you're turning up to with the calls and the congruence you are as a person.
No, those are excellent takeaways. And it's a place that like if you're not in sales, it's something that's very hard to sort of communicate to other people. That sort of feeling because you literally are in a performance sport essentially where you're only eating what you kill. You're only getting paid for what you produce, which is why we got in it in the first place. But
Mm,
when things aren't working in your favor, it can definitely feel very much like inward thinking. You can start to beat yourself up over the result and end up like suffering twice, and you end up in this crazy downward spiral,
mm.
um, which I've went through many times since being in sales myself. So it's something I can certainly resonate with. One question I have for you, and it sort of just popped up in my mind now because I haven't been like I haven't been a setter, like a straight setter for nowhere near the amount of time like that you have. Like I was very fortunate in my career early on to start closing very quickly. Very small offer. Me and the founder, I step up quite quick, right? I've done some short periods, and obviously outbound is a skill that I've always honed in on, even when being a closer. The question I have is like when your income is directly, I guess, attached to somebody else's performance in that aspect. Like you need to make sure, like I know you're lucky with the fact that you have good closers and stuff to send deals to, but talk us through like the mindset of being a setter where you're sending these people opportunities and maybe the closers are in a slump, which obviously affects your income. Like how do you handle those conversations and those sort of situations? I'd be very curious there.
Yeah, well, I think I've always been like come from a place like if I see the closers like everyone on the team, the closer the relationship I can have with them, the better.
Mhm.
And that's the more honest I can be. Like, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if I didn't know them, I honestly that I'd be the type of person not to speak up. Some might be different, whereas if they don't know someone, they don't mind.
Yeah.
But the closer I am with them, I see them as like my mates. Like I've always held my mates to a high standard.
Yeah.
Always like pulled them up on their shirt. Always been like, bro, you got to do this and that. So long as I know that I'm confident, I know that's the truth. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, yeah, if I'll just ask them, like, right, what happened here? It's like, sweet, this is what happened, this is what happened. Okay. As long as they give me the indication that they know that they done something wrong and that they're making moves towards fixing it, then I'm sweet, all right, you know, mistakes happen, things happen like that. But a big part of it also is just focusing on what you can control. Like at the end of the day, as long as I've done my best job to set them up for that call, then that's all I can do. Then it's all on them. So just trying to focus more so on that, making sure that because at the end of the day, I think a setter can produce laydowns. I think that is true.
That
I
is
reckon,
true.
yeah,
100%.
I
Yeah.
reckon they can turn up to the call already being ready to just lay the credit card. And so as long as I'm just focused on doing my best job, then I think everything will just run smoothly, and then that's all you can really focus on, to be honest.
Definitely. That's a very mature answer too. Like, and it's almost like the obvious answer as well, in that like the more of a relationship you have with the closer and the more you can get that feedback, not
Mm.
only you're holding them accountable, but then you're also holding yourself accountable to go, okay, well, what can I do in my process that's going to make that situation easier next time for him? So then you can both sort of sharpen the sword at the same time. Very mature way of thinking about it. And like obviously every sales process is different. Within like my agency, for example, the setters, I almost have them perform like the first half of a closing call, right? So then when they do eventually transition to a closer, they just have to tag on the second half and they're sort of sweet. It does make it harder for newer guys
Mm.
to jump in and be able to perform that at that sort of level rather than just like book a call. But I think it's sometimes going that long route in learning the skills and learning the correct process pays much more dividends later down the track. Like, how has your process sort of evolved or developed, since maybe even being on this like new account comparatively to maybe what you're doing in the past as well?
Yeah, I think because it is a very like really good offer that I'm on. Like marketing everything from start to finish is pretty well dialed in. So I think the biggest thing I've learned is just to operate with an abundance mindset. Like previous offers, sometimes in the past, I've been really attached to making sure that I'm, getting them on board. And in the process, it's sort of taken me away from like the bigger picture, which is to just see if we can help them in the first place. So process, the biggest thing, like, and I speak to some of my friends like in the same workspace as well. I ask them, and they sort of always give me the same answer, which has actually gotten me to think in the same way, which is just to sort of not to focus too much on the skill side of things, but on
Yeah,
the mindset side. And
yeah,
I think just going into a call with an abundance, it's like I don't know, it's like going into someone like just like when you speak to someone in desperation versus in abundance, it's night and day difference, no matter what if they're the same person.
yeah,
So the ability to think with an abundance mindset, to be a lot more chill myself, has just like allowed me to have these conversations that are just flowing so much easier as opposed to what I was doing in the past. I almost put like sales and like everything on like a pedestal, and
yeah,
like in doing so, I was like just so like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. But when I've just sort of brought it back to thing, just seeing this as thing, it's just a conversation at the day. It's just leveled things out. So now I'm just completely myself, and I think people can detect that across the phone. So I honestly think that's the biggest part of like yeah, especially the process now, which is just how I feel going into the call with the mindset that I have.
yeah. No, I like that. I'm a big believer in the same theory that you have there, which is mindset is often, I feel like it's the 80-20. I think sales reps would have far more success if they focused on like developing their emotional intelligence and
Mm,
like who they are, their own personal development, more so than like refining sales skills. Because I'm not saying sales skills are bad, right? I've
mm,
invested 50K into just sales training itself. So it definitely has its place. But there's always going to be new tricks. There's always going to be new tactics and new things you can say. But if you develop outside of that, for one, it makes it easier to learn those tricks in the first place. But the
mm.
most important part, it makes it so much easier to apply it. And sales is just a conversation at the end of the day. Like people like to sort of convolute it into something it may not be. I think the best see it as a game that's to be won for sure. Um, but even still, it can sometimes get a little lost in the weeds.
Yeah, I've well, when I started off, like obviously seen a lot of boys come and go, trying to get
Mm,
into this space. I think it's pretty normal for everybody to see in the sales space. But one thing that I've always known is like, just say what you got to say to get them over the line. Like,
mm,
don't overcomplicate it. I had mates that were like, "Oh, I want to run Christian Polk. I want to do Jeremy Minor. I want
mm.
to do this, that, and that." And then they were chopping and changing. I was like, bro, just say what you need to say to get them over the line. Like, I don't think there's one way to go about it. And I think I've had this conversation with you before in terms of like some people just get it. Some people
Yeah,
just understand that you're just there to talk. Like obviously a bit of an exception to rule, like JP, boys like that, they
yeah.
just understand it. But if you come in here and get too technical with things and you're just gonna before you fall in love with it, I think you're just gonna scare yourself off, and I think that's why other people fall off.
And it ties back to exactly what you said before. The reason that they get it, like JP is an example, and there's other people. For one, people just want to buy from them more than they want to buy from other people.
Mm,
Who he is, right? Which ties into like your mindset component. And the way that they get it is because they just understand like what question I should be asking. It's not that deep. I just got to see what I got to say in the process, and they almost see it like a game. So definitely pause into what you're saying. And you have seen a lot of people come and go, as I have. I remember still clear as day, right? When I first joined Closer Cartel back in November 2022, right? I had a role play partner. He's, I'll even name him, right? Hopefully he comes back into space. His name's Trent. I can't remember which city he was from. It's from somewhere in America, in the middle of nowhere. And he and I used to role play together very frequently. And then obviously I got a role, this and that, so you sort of stop talking to him as much. And then I went on LinkedIn and found him. He was actually working in like as a golf caddy, like for a golf course. And it was very like extremely eye-opening for me. That particular moment, I'll never forget it because I just realized that not everyone is fit for sales and not everyone's going to make it.
Mm.
It's quite a sobering feeling um, because it's all you see all the bells and whistles, the glitter on the outside. Come in, come join us, but it can be brutal. You have seen a lot of people come through and churn, even like in your relatively short career, right? Within 13 months. Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think some people make it and other people sort of fall off the wagon? Do you think it's just who they are? Do you think it's something they're doing wrong? Like, what are you sort of seeing from your side?
Yes, I don't know. It's like I've been reading this book recently. I had my ideas prior to the book, but it really does put it into perspective. It's called How Bad Do You Want It? It's a book on like long distance athletes and like the mindset they have, and the difference between, because at the end of the day, like they're putting in all the same work, the extra hours. When it comes to race day, it's just how bad do you want it? That's the
Yeah,
mindset running through it, and I think it puts it into really good perspective in that book. Two runners, both equal in terms of like strength, stamina, everything like that. But the person who wanted it more was the one who won. And I think there's just a lot of guys out there who just don't want it that bad. They're pretty comfortable. Maybe even there's not enough pain in their situation to make them make a change. I think that was a big factor for me wanting to make it. Was I was just so fed up with my situation
yeah,
to a point where I was like, there was no way I was going back to that point. I never wanted to do that. If I had gone back to there, I'd failed enough and I would have just given up. And I think as bad as it sounds,
yeah.
as bad as it sounds, like I know that if I had gone back, it'd just be a bunch of depression, drugs, alcohol. And I had made it so brutal in my head that I was like, no, there's no way. And there's like other positive aspects in terms of like the session that you ran with all the True Blues boys. Lockie said something, and he was like, "As long as you never give up, you'll always be successful."
Yeah,
So when I was going into those like rough times, because there were rough times,
yeah,
like really rough times. Like honestly, bro, like there were some times where I was like crying at night. I was like, I don't know what I was gonna do. Like in a foreign country, about 5-6K in debt, and there's a lot for a 21, 22 year old, and
yeah.
no one around him. Like there was like the first thing that popped into my head was like, oh, as long as I don't give up, I'll always be successful. So I just don't think people think that way these days, or just aren't in enough pain to get to that point yet.
I think it's so true. Like, you can take any food, supplement, steroid, I don't care what it is. The biggest thing that have the most anabolic effects on your life is the way that you view the world,
Mm,
right? Like, and especially the way you view yourself. Because if you view the world as like a game where it has so much opportunity and it has so much to gain and so much to appreciate and there's so much to be given to you, then you're gonna always push that extra mile. You're gonna go through that extra little bit of pain. Whereas if you feel like, hey, I'm actually defeated, this is where the game stops for me, which is crazy that people even put that as a constraint in front of their life, but you do see it all too often,
mm,
unfortunately. And it's a bigger bubble at mediocrity than at the top. So there's more, I guess, there's more people that are sort of waiting there for you to give you a pat on the back and go, at least you tried, man, and give you that sort of comfort. Which people like me, and I'm sure people like you, we sort of we feel sort of disgusted by that notion.
100%.
So I don't really. It's kind of a hard thing to sort of teach someone. Like how would if you had someone blank canvas and you teach them how bad do you want it? How would you go about that?
Well, I've never had to think about that, but the way that I came across the mindset was watching was it The Last Dance, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, great documentary. Yeah,
Yeah, so I went through that, and then I remember watching a part where he used to make stuff up in his mind. that
mm,
uh that like if he didn't do that, like that guy gave him shit about something, so he had to get him back.
yeah,
Like little stuff like that. My big thing was because I've always had like a little bit of, without getting into the details of things, my brother's like a dodgy relationship with my two older brothers.
yeah,
I've always been in a position where they were always really good at sport. always like nailed everything, were the best pairs, realistically the parents' favorite. So I was always chasing them.
Yeah.
And my thought process was like, if I got back to Sydney after I'd given up, the thought of them just standing out there, like pointing at me, laughing. It's like, oh, this guy, he thought he could go travel the world, work online, make money. And I was like, every time I thought about giving up, that was like another thing that was in my head. It's like my brothers are going to be waiting at the airport, laughing at me. And then, yeah,
Damn, bro. Yeah.
yeah, that was enough for me to go like, no, fuck no, I'm not going back home. Like I'd
Yeah.
rather stay broke over here, go work as a Gojek driver. I'd rather do that than have to go back there and watch them do that. That was honestly, that scared me.
Well, it's funny because if you're super poor or you've actually got money, you sort of end up like that's when you're most free. Like I remember when I had nothing, right? I had $30 to my name, and my shopping for the week would be a bag of onions and coffee, right? It didn't really matter what would happen because then I'd just think, well, I lose the money, so I don't die. So like I'll eventually build it back. Like a man can build him back pretty quick, nothing. Like if you had nothing, maybe in Bali it's a little different, right? But if you're in a Western and you have the ability of sales, if I went broke, dude, I would go rent a little office space. What would that cost me? Maybe $100 a month. Wouldn't be much for a little office, right? Put a blow up mattress in there. So what? I'm down $150, let's say.
Mm.
Eat red meats at a red meats, red mints at like a park barbecue. Eat eat that. Shower at the beach, and then you could just literally go door knocking and sell home improvement services, whatever it is. You could do window cleaning, pressure cleaning, something I wanted to do for ages, lawn mowing, and you could run a fat bag from that. Like I
Mm.
don't really, and when you sort of look at again the way you view the world, that might not be, uh, how do you say it, realistic, might not be a rational way of thinking, but I know I could do it. So if that's my worst case scenario, that doesn't sound too bad to me.
Yeah. And I think like if you're willing to think in that way, you're willing to like take it that far, I think that is like a really deep reflection of like your sales process. And when you talk to these people,
Mm.
when they're saying like when they're talking about their situations, like obviously there's a level that you're willing to go to and bounce back from. So if someone can do it from that position, and then there's people who are a lot better off, I
Yeah,
think that's it ties in a lot in terms of like, make it work. Go make it. Oh, I can't pay for this today. No, yes, you can. Go make it work.
yeah,
Go hire a space office. Go sleep on a mattress. Go cook at a barbecue, and then sell everything and make it work.
bro, you always make it work. That ultimately, like again, it's sort of like it's a balancing act because I think there's a big wave of like the positive thinking movement, which I do like, right? I do like it. I think I think people almost I think the problem with it is, bro, is that it sometimes I think people who are accepting maybe a substandard for what they could be, they use that like blanket of, well, everything will be okay or everything happens for a reason, and there's like that whole mediocrity tone to it, which I don't like. Where what you mentioned there with like Michael Jordan's not a positive thinker. He's using the demons and the bad side too to
Mm,
actually use as fuel to push into where he is, which I've used throughout my whole life, right? Sometimes, again, in the wrong way, where you end up doing drugs, you party, you chase pointless things that don't mean anything to you. So it can be used in the wrong way, or it can give you just like a rocket fuel amount of energy to go and get what you want.
100%. I think you brought this up like in the past, and I
Mm.
was like, I up until that point, because I did think about it a lot after you said it. Up until that point, I thought I was a very like positive, driven person and positivity because I read all the books, as everybody does, get into the journey, like, oh, the thoughts become you fit, stuff like that. So I was always just think positive, like everything's gonna be okay. But the stuff that really, really got me here was the stuff that was like when the thought process when I was like, fuck this, like, nah, I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah,
And then you got everybody around you saying like, oh, it's completely normal, like this is normal. You meant to feel this way, But it was those thoughts and those epiphanies. It's like, no, fuck that. I don't want that. I
yeah,
don't need that. And I do hate my position. I'm not trying to soften it at all. I don't like what I'm doing. I hate it. And that was actually what pushed me to go further and actually try something different. Because like during this whole sales process, like I live with my cousin who I love my cousin, love my family. But every day he was, I'd get home from those 10, 12, 14-hour shifts.
Mhm.
It'd be like 6, 7 at night. I'd go shoot to the gym, get my session done. And then from like 7 o'clock to 10, I'd just be behind the computer, just writing everything sales, sales, sales
Yeah.
every day. And then he'd be like laying down on his bed watching Netflix. And I told him every day, because me and Jackson were both really close with my cousin as well. We all knew each other. And then
Yeah.
Jackson was in his ear, but I was like, I trust him. I'm going to do it. Like I was at a point whereas I was so clear that I hated my position that I was like, nah, I'm going to do this. But my cousin, every time he'd get home, he was making semi decent money, more than what I was doing, working less hours. So he was
Mhm.
very comfortable in that position. Had his missus, his girlfriend, so he's quite happy coming home, sitting down, watching TV. Go for a gym session every now and then, come back, repeat. But no, I got to a point where I was just like waking up at like because I finished my job before I moved over to Bali. Like
Yeah.
I saved up enough money to make that transition, but that was like more skin in the game. I was like, all right, I need to dig deeper. So I was waking up at 4 a.m., going to the gym, getting that out of the way, coming
Mhm.
back, and then for about 7, 8 hours, I was just studying or ripping cold calls on that off what I started off. So like I didn't slow up by any means. I didn't get comfortable. I was like, nah, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this properly. I'm gonna make it work.
Yeah. It's so funny. I could go on a tangent there too, but like, especially when you have a woman, I think there's a big talk now, which is like, you see it from a lot of the red pill guys, where you don't want your woman to talk down to you, talk this, talk that. I think a good woman wouldn't accept anything less than you being your best, which
Mm,
obviously I'm lucky. I've been with my girlfriend for 8 years now, and if I was sort of, so she's obviously seen when I was working in civil, and then a successful business. It's the same love, but you want your girl to go, hey, you're looking a bit chubby there. Get back in the gym. Get like not keep you on your toes, bro. I think that's what they're. Um, I think that's what a good role they should be. Not
I
to say
think
your girlfriend doesn't have a good girlfriend. Right? Not not saying that, but you sort of see what I'm saying there.
I think the right woman will drive you to be like you're a good example, like where you come from to where you are now. But I genuinely do think if you're with the wrong person, that they will keep you comfortable. I
Yeah.
think me personally, I don't have much relationship experience.
Hmm.
But yeah, I could see like night and day, like because they're not together anymore, right?
Okay. Well, yeah, we can talk. We can talk shit then.
Yeah, so they're not together anymore. I think they both got comfortable with each other, stuff
Yeah.
like that. But even in that aspect of like the red pill stuff, like you shouldn't let your woman talk down on you. I was like, nah, I reckon if you're one of those guys where if you get talked down to and your feelings have been hurt, I think you need to take a good look at yourself because it's like
No,
you're offended by a chick by her telling her what's on her mind.
yeah. No. Like literally, bro. I think you're 100% right, and that's like the beauty of them is that they can keep you comfortable, right? Because they provide love, comfort, and these sort of things. But yeah,
Mm,
if you feed too much into that, yeah,
yeah,
you end up getting stuck, bro. Unfortunately.
100%. Like, because before there's like small detour.
Yeah.
Before I got into sales, I was actually in a relationship with the chick in New Zealand that I was
Yeah.
living in Australia. Um, but it did get to a point where she started calling me up on things. She said I was resenting her. I wasn't paying her enough attention. But this
Mm,
was during that period where I was learning sales, where I was like, I need to get my ass off the ground. I need to go do something. But a big part of that motivation was so that I could travel around the world, so that
yeah.
I could go see her, stuff like that. And when it got to the point where I was finishing up my work, we did have a conversation, sat down, and she was like, look, I really do like you, but like I just don't like that you're not paying enough attention, even though that attention was for her. Like I
Yeah.
was, even though like I don't know, like so there was a bit of a balance in the idea, but essentially we came to an agreement. It's like she was a professional ballroom dancer, she was working on that. I was trying to make it in sales, getting my ass off the ground.
Mm,
So it was a mutual agreement in terms of we turned away from each other. And I
yeah.
think as hard as that was, like I think she's definitely the best girl I've ever been with.
Yeah.
Respectful, like well mannered, everything like that. And as she was, yeah, as I mentioned, the best girl I've been with. I still think the best decision I made was for us to leave each other. So
Mm.
like that was also more skin in the game too. So quitting the job, you know, and
Yeah.
breaking up with her,
Very-
yeah,
Yeah.
it's all stacked up on each other. My brother's looking at me the way I come back. It was all pain. It was all pain-driven things. So in my head, I was like, if I don't make it, my brother's gonna give me shit. I was full of shit to her because I stuck out for something, broke up with her to try pursue it, and I didn't even make it work. So it would have been disrespectful to her, and then it would have been disrespectful to myself.
Yeah. No, I think it's almost like this, bro. If I had to put in like an analogy, it's like if you're being dragged through broken glass by your hands, ankles, you're getting dragged for 10 kilometers, you're still optimistic that you're going to reach the other side and be fine.
Mm.
It's sort of like that mentality where you're like, you're putting yourself through pain on purpose and you're using it as fuel, but that self belief of like, yeah, I'll be sweet, that
Yeah.
never cracks.
Mm.
It's like that intangible of like the human spirit, which I think is very hard to defeat, right?
Mm.
You can clearly see that in your story. Like you've just harnessed that. And that's why I find it very sad when I do see people's spirit get broken because I know how hard that is to do. So they've
Mm.
just stacked so many things in the wrong place. Um, but talk to us, Chris, because obviously you joined True Blues. You knew a few guys already in the space, like you knew Jackson in person and what have you. Tell us the difference though. Like obviously we met earlier in the year in Bali, went out for dinner, get steaks, played paddle, had a bunch of
Mm.
fun. But like what do you feel like the difference is between like knowing people online and then like creating those real connections in person, getting to meet people? Like talk us through that.
Yeah, it's that's a really interesting topic. So all the boys that I've met from online, in person to date, like I don't know what's gonna happen in the future, but mate, they've all just been the most genuine people. I think they understand like what it takes to get here. So there's already a certain level of respect when you meet each other in terms of like yeah, in terms of like going from where we were to where we are now, especially like a lot of us fellas, we are really young. So
Yeah.
being able to connect with like boys in that I guess atmosphere, it is really powerful. And I think it is like the conversations compared to my normal friends who I love. Again, like I don't turn a bad eye on anyone. Like I still love every my mates. I talk to all of them, but it's like the difference between like a level 1.0 conversation to a level 3. So
Mm,
it's like it's just so contrasting between the people that you used to know compared to the people you do know now. Like
yeah.
everybody's sort of on that same mindset, but especially being able to have like a friend that I've known for like the last 7 years and also be in the online space, it just makes it so much better. Like because we did come from like me and Jackson specifically, just a few New Zealand boys from Christchurch. I
Yeah.
think the town's like I don't even know how many people's in the place we're from, but it's
Mm,
sweet fuck all. Um, yeah, and like he was in Dubai for like 2 months of the year,
yeah. Yeah.
like by choice. Like I've been here for 7, 8 months. My mates have no idea how I'm doing it. Never decided to ask. So it's like if they would tell them, I'd give them every support that they need. But yeah, just I guess it's just so powerful to be around other guys that are on that same mindset that wanted more than what they had, and that have actually gone and shoveled shit to get to the point they have. So yeah, it's just especially the conversations. Even when I sat down with you,
Mm,
Adam, and I think it was Anton there. I
yeah.
think it was just an hour of just non-stop talk about business, sales, stuff like that. And I'm not saying that's all we talk about, but like it was just
We're
so
not
good.
that
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just so good to. It just always ends up on that topic. It's just so
far.
good to bounce off, and then it's just like feels like progression. Yeah. So I guess some of my mates, when I meet them, it's a lot more like a comfort thing in terms of like coming back down to reality a bit, understanding where I came from. And so yeah, that's why I love both aspects of it, both the new friends that I made and still my old friends.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you, bro. Because it's almost like you're just talking to people who are on the same wavelength and they want the same things and they just sort of get it again. Like it's sort of been a theme throughout what we're speaking about. When I talk to my friends, yeah, like I still have plenty of friends that don't necessarily want the same things as me, and that's fine. Like that's cool. Like I hope they're happy, um, and go out and crush whatever it is they want to crush in their own lives. One of my very close friends now, he's a barber. He runs his own barber studio. Been friends with him for over 10 years. And he's a good friend because he still cheers you on. You
Yeah.
know, never judges, never talks down. Always had that belief the same way the whole way through, which I think is very important. Because a lot of guys will doubt you when you sort of jump into this space. They will say you're crazy, the black sheep breaking away from the pack, and people don't like that. And unfortunately, there was a video I watched this so long ago, but it always stuck with me. It's a video of Snoop Dogg, and he explains that there's almost like these levels. So when you're saying level 1, level 3 conversations, but if you and your friends are on the same wavelength, on the same level, and you break away, the only way for you guys to get back on that same level
Yeah.
is for you to come down, right? Which is what holds you back ultimately. You know, talking about sports, talking about going out and getting drunk, or degeneracy, which is so the hard part to do those obviously to bring them up with you, which obviously we aim to do and we want to do, but you can't force people to do that.
Yeah. I guess because I've tried to get some mates like on this journey, like as I mentioned, my cousin, but I don't know. It's just I just don't think that they don't want it that bad. They're not in enough pain. Like because it's funny that you mentioned that because like my like friends that I've known for a little while now, especially coming over to Australia, made some new friends from New Zealand. Never spoken to them, but they were all really supportive of the journey in terms of like me letting them know what I was doing. They're like, oh yeah, like let's go, bro. Like you can do it. Like and even now when I'm doing it, like they're so happy. They seen that I was going through the trenches, and then I'm making good money now. But the weird thing for me was the people that weren't supportive, the ones who were like talking shit in the background, were actually the ones that were closer to me than them, which is my family.
Yeah.
So even my cousin, the one I was talking about before, like my brother sent me a message the other day and he was like, hey bro, like just watch what you tell like my cousin. I won't say his name, my cousin, because every time he opens his mouth about you, he's got nothing nice to say. Saying stuff like he can't just go run and hide in Bali forever, like what's his plan? Like things like that. And I'm like, what am I running in what am I hiding from? Like I'm working in a country. I just think that the idea of what I'm doing now destroys the reality of his life. And because we were on the same, we were like, inseparable
Yeah.
with each other every day, but it was through that degeneracy, it's through the just softening the situation, getting stoned every day. And then when I decided I didn't want that anymore, and I took it to that next level, I just think that in a way it sort of devalued what he
Yeah.
took life for or his position, which like I get at the end of the day, I still love everyone. He's been my day one, but it's like the day that he comes and tells me how to do it, like I'll give him all my attention I can, but I'm not going to sit and wait around for him.
Yeah.
That's my plan.
No, 100%, bro. Like similar thing sort of happened with me. I remember at one of my lowest points, I came back from a company retreat, and I came back, and I was standing there in the kitchen with my parents, my mum and my stepdad, right? And I was explaining to them sort of what I was up to, and they were asking me about my plans, how's the trip, and I'm like, yeah, all good. I got to get back to work though. I got 30 cents in my bank account, right? Literally had 30 cents in my bank account, and they're like, what? Like, how the fuck have you been doing this long and you have 30 cents to your name? Like, how does that even happen? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, just been a tough transition, yada yada yada. I'll work it out though, like 100%. I'm gonna work this out. And it was like a intervention, bro, where they literally sat there and were like, we want you to quit and go back to civil, right? And like for me, the belief at this point was so hardened that like that was just like speaking Spanish to me. Like I couldn't even comprehend why that would even come up in a conversation, right? And yeah, they were literally begging me to go back. And I'm like, would you rather me be happy and like still trying to work it out and chase my dreams, or go back to civil and be miserable but chase a fake arbitrary standard of safety? And they said, yeah, we'd rather you get that safety. And that's just when I was like, there's a huge disconnect here. Like this doesn't even make sense. I didn't get mad. But I thought of it like, they're just trying to look out for me or whatever. But that just shows you when you start thinking a little bit crazy, you're probably on the right track.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
100%.
now,
I
I've been
definitely,
lucky to actually um, bring some people in like Saxon, Luke, Keno. I bring in a lot of my friends who I grew up with and bring them into the online space because I don't know, I guess because when we're growing up, I was sort of like the underdog, the one who's very underlooked. Um, you know, no one would really take me that seriously. So if I could figure it out, it probably gave them that confidence to go, well, if he can, I can do it.
yeah,
Sort of pave the way.
sure, 100%. I definitely had some of those situations with my mum in terms of like, because when I just kept on telling her, and I think she got either sick of it or she just got aware of it. That like throughout the last 9 months, I was like, Mum, I'm so close. Like, Mum, I'm so close. Like, and she would have heard that like twice a month for the last 6, 7 months, and
You
then
just,
yeah, and she was like, son, like she got to a point. I think it would have been like literally 2 months ago when she was like, son, I think you should just come back home. Like, I think you should just come back home. And I was like, I was like, oh, she's starting to catch on. I was like, all right, nah, something needs to pop. But it wasn't like honestly when everything started to click was when I just chilled the fuck out, when I just took a step back, when I just stopped getting so attached to it. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna focus on my process, trying to be better, and that's all I'm gonna worry about. Like, bro, I'm being honest. Like, I got to a point like before like the last month and a half, 2 months, my hair was falling out. Like, I was
I
stressed every
remember
day.
that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I
I
told
thought it was the tap water in
thought
Bali.
it was too, but then I was using the same tap water. I was just got chilled out a lot more, and then like it just stopped happening. Like
Yeah.
honestly, it was. I think it got to that stage where I was that stressed out constantly. I didn't realize that yeah, that's how worried I am, and I think my mum picked up on it too. And then yeah, like the happiest thing ever was for me to tell her like after my first 10K month, which was the month just passed,
Yeah.
I paid off all my debt, and I told her like I just keep on keeping her up to date with like all the cool stuff I'm doing, not in a way like, oh, I'm doing this, and say, look, mum, look, I'm happy, like I'm doing this stuff.
Hmm.
Traveled to here up in Ulus, told her that I was making good money. I keep her. She's the only one that I keep up to date with exactly how much
Yeah.
I'm making, and I know that it makes her so happy to see that I am like starting to crack it. I'm making good money. Like just a month past, it was 10K. I'm on track for a 12K month this month,
Wow, man.
and yeah, she's like that's probably the happiest thing for me was seeing how happy it made her.
Bro, and there's nothing better. There's nothing better, right? Making your mum smile. But like a big thing there too is that 10K as a setup is like pretty freaking good, man. Like that's like legit. People to crack 10K as a setter. I think my best ever month as a setter was 11. So if you hit 12 this month, yeah, you beat me. Um, so like, yeah, bro, kudos to you. It's obviously all clicking for you at the right time, bro. You look fucking very happy. You look content. And I'm glad to see it. Because that's the most important part about all else, right? Like the money's great, and if you didn't have money, we'd be wiping our ass with our hand.
Mm,
But at the same time, it's who you become in the process that's like fucking that's invaluable, bro. The back
yeah,
that you feel over what you've had to overcome, no one can ever take that away from you, even if they strip you of all your money.
yeah. Well, like in the mindset, like because I've done it before now. I think I was that was a big part too coming into this journey was seeing how a lot of people that made money, like I was going to these weekly sessions here in Bali with like men working online,
Yeah.
and be literally a session of them for like 5 minutes. Everybody would just be quiet and they go over their feelings, thoughts, and it was so powerful to see that like a lot of the guys were like, I went dead broke, I came back, I'm dead broke at the moment, but I know that I can bounce back. And there was just such a consistent stream of the guys like constantly saying that. And I was like, oh, okay, sweet. So this is normal. And that the idea that I normalized it's like, all right, if they can do it, people have done it before, people have done it from a worse position than me, then I know that I can do it 100%. And if someone was to take all my money away, I'd know I'd be able to do it again. I'd approach that challenge. I see it as like if that didn't happen, I would never be in the position I am in. If
Yeah.
someone gave me that 10K, I'd lose it all within a month. But if the way that I had to go about it, to fight for it, to grind for it, and more importantly, just to keep it, I think that's more important than the money itself.
And there's so much evidence to support that claim too. Like what you're saying there is not some esoteric fucking even bullshit because you see lottery winners win the lotto and they waste all their money. because they're not the person who is a $10 million fucking person at the end of the day. So yeah, very fucking obvious. But like with that there too, you mentioned that you went and met up with some guys over in Bali. What do you think is like the powerful thing about like getting in big groups? Like obviously, you were there virtually at the last True Blues event that we held in Sydney. Like, what do you think so important about like getting around those like-minded individuals in person, sharing ideas that you maybe don't get, online?
Yeah, I think if you're trying to progress forward, you're trying to make moves and motions like better than where you are. I think it's so essential to have people in better positions than you're in.
Hmm.
So like those boys, specifically the ones you're talking about that I was with, like they're all in better positions than me. Like
Yeah.
like now some of them have made some more money than them in the month, but they've been making it more consistently and yeah, across a longer time than me. So just little stuff like I get pulled up by Mateo. Mateo is like a big like. So if I was like when I was with them one time, very first time I hung out with all of them, I was scrolling on my phone and he tapped me on my shoulder. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" No, he pulled me up and
Yeah.
I was like, "What?" I was like, and I was also watching the footy. Like I had my screen split in half. I was doing admin on one side and footy on the stuff. He's like, "Wait, so what are you doing?" I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Oh, me and the other guy over there, we got a thing. That's it's like we got to pull people up if they're doing like low ROI activities." I was like, "Oh damn, I need to get my." I was like, straight off the bat, I was like, "Oh shit, what am I doing?" And then
Yeah.
now, every time I go to like watch the footy, I've got to finish my admin first.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I have to finish all that stuff first because I just feel like Mateo's just sitting there right behind me, just like in my ear. But there, that's one aspect, like holding each other to a high standard, and like languaging, like everywhere when we went out to do like lunch or dinners, like I wasn't in the mindset of like I was making good money now. So when we went to a place, we were like massage place. I was like, "Oh, where's the cheapest place?" Like, why do we need to go to the cheapest place? It's like we don't want the cheapest thing. Like we want the best massage. I was like, "Yeah, that's right, that's right, that's right." So it's like little things, just reminders, stuff to keep me in the mindset of someone that's actually making better money or like the same money as what I'm doing now. Like I'm not falling back into those old habits of like scarcity and stuff like that.
Yeah, bro, because you want to be the same person you are like when you don't have money as the same person you are when you have money. So
Mm.
you're always fucking congruent, bro. And that's the big thing too. It's not like we're just like boring and all we do is work and there's nothing else enjoyable in life. I like watching the footy myself too,
Mm.
right? What who do you go? What footy are we talking about here too? Because I know you're from New Zealand, so you've probably
Yeah,
been at rugby union, aren't you?
up the wires, baby. Come on, we're going for 2025 up.
Nah, bro. No, it's funny. I go for Manly, but my little cousin plays for Roosters, so I rarely go for the Roosters. Sort of like it's the team I get most emotionally invested in. But if he left, then
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
no,
100%. Got to back the blood for sure.
yeah,
But yeah, no, like still do fun things. Like I'm doing a lot more fun things than what I was when I was like, not in sales.
yeah,
Like to be honest, like we were locked in, like been locked in heaps a lot of the time, but just the weekend passed, like I was like, stuff it. I'm in Uluwatu, the weather's warm. Some guys were next door in my place traveling, so I was like, what he's up to? Had a massive night out.
yeah,
Next morning, woke up, went for a surf, got into my dials, and then later on met the boys at Surveyor, like one of the biggest beach clubs in all
yeah,
of Bali, and we had the best time ever. So it's like it's not like we're all just like these little nerds running around behind a laptop. Like we're doing. I think the boys they woke up like I was pretty hungover. I couldn't move, but the boys woke up and they went on a big yacht and they went surfing like off the coast of like Java. They spent like $300-$400 each doing that the whole day. So it's not like it's I don't know. I think the hustle mindset, like I think that is important. You were talking about it with the boys the other day. Like at some point, you do need to work hard, but it's just as important to work smart while you do it. And I think if you do those together, it's going to get to a point where you're going to be able to do it so well that you are going to be able to make time for yourself. And I think that's yeah, just as important.
yeah, bro. Like 1,000,000%. It's like you fall in love with the game, and you fall in love with obviously hustling. Like I fucking love slinging deals, bro. I fucking love it. Like
Mm.
this is what I find it's hard to explain to people um, that are sort of struggling or are very new in the
Mm.
way that I sell because I just fucking love it, bro. Like, so when I'm on a call, I'm so like entrenched in the game that I'm just like, how can I actually help this person? And it's like a little game of cat and mouse almost, right? Obviously,
Mm.
we're there to help, but that instinct sort of kicks in where it's like time to work. And I like that feeling. But at the end of the day, why am I doing that? Well, I'm doing that to enjoy, have good experiences. So like, yeah, I think there's a nice balance there, and it's different for everyone. That's why I never judge. But if you're, as long as you're living congruent, like you spoke about, and you're comfortable with the trade-off, right? Because when you hustle too much, there's a trade-off. And if you fucking play too much, well, then there's a trade-off.
Yeah.
So as long as you're comfortable with those trade-offs, those particular times, and you're thinking about it, exercising free will, fucking sweet.
Yeah, that was a major thing that you talked. Like I always had the idea of it back in my head, but when you talked about it in the session, just the energy behind the intention. Like
Yeah,
if you're going out and doing something, it's like it's a big comparison, but like it's like the same thing by like some people cheating.
yeah,
It's like if someone goes and cheats and he feels bad about it, then that's just gonna eat him up. It's gonna ruin him. But you got some guys who can do it out there. They just won't think about it the next day. They'll come back and they'll be sweet,
yeah,
and then things will just move on smoothly. But yeah, when I go out and I'm like, I'm gonna enjoy this night because I grinded the last 8 9 months to be here, so I'm gonna enjoy it, and then I'm gonna deal with my hangover in the morning, however I need to, and then the day after, afternoon after, I'm just gonna get into my dials. And I think people overthink it. People let what they've been taught, like what's that word? Or essentially what they've been grown up known around, like, oh, you got a hangover the next day, you got to, pass out in bed. It's like,
yeah,
nah.
yeah,
If you just wake up the next day and you're like, oh, like, all right, I've got a headache, pop Panadol, go down, shoot into the gym, sauna, ice bath, get back in your dials. Like, just don't overcomplicate it, don't overthink it. Which
yeah,
a lot of people, that ties into what you were saying too. People probably overthink it or overcomplicate the process before they fall in love with it. Like sales did feel like a straight hustle, a straight grind. Like I was in the trenches up until the point where I started slinging deals. Then it
mm.
just felt like I felt like a junkie when that started happening. I was like,
Yeah,
I want to see another one. I want to see another one. I want to see another one.
yeah. Because
Yeah,
winning's addictive. Winning's
yeah,
fucking very addictive, bro. That's why winners win and losers lose.
yeah. And it's real funny. Like it was Matteo and Fonzie. We were having a conversation. I was like, we went the way the path they're on now is they're focusing on their health. They're trying to get bigger. They're trying to get in the gym. Whereas like my life, that was already a part of my life before I got into sales. But
Mm.
seeing the way they're going about it versus the way I got into sales, it's the exact same. Like
Mm.
I got real technical. I was like, well, skill, what do I do here? What do I do with this? Before I fell in love with it. They're
Yeah,
doing the same thing. It's like, oh, I need to track my calories. I need to do this. I need to optimize this. It's like, no, you just need to fall in love with it. You need to find your first W. Go find like a vein. Go do like a muscle up. Fall in love with it, and then everything will just flow easily. And that's how it feels right now.
that's why I think sport is the best way to train. Like
Mm,
active activity. Like my favorite way of training is combat sports. Get in the ring and punch on because I'm having fun and it's
mm,
competition and you got that energy going backward and forward. Like for me, I lift weights, but I find it quite repetitive and I almost get bored of it very quickly comparatively to something that has that difficulty level. See, because we don't truly fall in love with things that are so easy.
mm,
Like sales, I love sales because it's fucking hard, and that means some days I don't want to do it, right?
mm.
But I love it and I'm committed to it, so I will still do it regardless. Because fuck how you feel, bro. Some days I feel like shit. I still have to fucking show up and do my fucking dials. Like it's
Mm.
just a mandatory. But I think as long as you show up, you're doing more than fucking most people, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Sure, like even like languaging and that, like I rarely ever say like I don't feel like doing anything.
Mm.
Like I try to avoid that, like little languaging, because I know that it's just the small things that like stack up and then they start dictating like the way you go about your life. Like, and even now when I'm with friends, like I can hear it through them, and I think that's a big thing that came from those boys. So it's like another thing in terms of the network and the people you surround yourself with. But yeah, it all ties in. Like I don't know why, but I think that's like another big thing with sales. Like you can literally relate it to every aspect, or something ties into something, or you start to see the way it falls in. Like I don't know, there's such a pattern of the way like you can see once you've understand sales to like a foundational, fundamental level, and
Yeah.
that's the makes me love it even more. Like especially I think if you're a deep thinker, it's really going to help.
Yeah. No, 100%, bro. 100%. But Chris, I guess for you, brother, what are some? I'm getting absolutely spammed right now. What are some closing remarks that you wanna give the guys? What are some of your biggest takeaways? What do you think people should do? Anything you want to sort of end with, and where can people get in contact with you, bro? Where can people speak to you? That I'm sure they're going to be quite interested based off this conversation.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, oh, first and foremost, True Blues. You can message me there. Message me there. Otherwise, just Instagram, Christoph. I know, pretty simple. But the final message, to be honest, was I got videos on my phone that I was taking them when I was like in really dark places, and it was just the idea that this is exactly how it's meant to feel. Like when I moved to Bali, and I had the mindset that I was going to be in the trenches, I didn't realize what that was like until I was in them. Like you're gonna feel shit. It's gonna feel like the hardest thing ever, and that just means you're so close. It's that little. I don't know if you've seen that little gif of that guy and he's mining for diamonds and then he stops and gives up and that guy blows past straight through him. I think that competitive edge of like also not wanting people to like not wanting to be that guy. Like I actually got infuriated. But yeah, the idea is like when things feel like they're at their worst and then like it feels shit, feels completely like nothing is gonna click. That's like when you have the most energy to make a change. So that's when you just need to keep pushing forward. You need to keep grinding. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be here. Like you need to go through those shit phases. You need to feel like there's nothing left, and then that's when you'll be ready to make the biggest change.
Fucking mic drop, bro. 100%. Chris, fucking pleasure as always, brother. And yeah, hopefully I come out to Bali again sometime soon, or wherever you end up, bro. I know you might be going to Sri Lanka and all sorts of things, but I'm sure we'll meet again down the track in person next time. Maybe we can do one of these in person too. That'd be sick.
The next True Blues event, or wherever that is, nah, 100%, nah.